Welcome everybody who's watching on Twitter or YouTube or anywhere else in the world. We have a very exciting interview. We have a very exciting guest here with us today. Gail, she's an author. She has personally recovered from a brain injury slash concussion, and she's going to be sharing her valuable inputs with us. So please introduce yourself to our audience, Gail.
Hi, everyone. It's good to be here. It's really Marshall has done a great job of setting this up, and I'm very appreciative because everyone needs to know more about concussion recovery, traumatic brain injury recovery, brain injuries. It's a hidden secret, actually, as to how we're supposed to go about recovering because, according to many doctors, they weren't given any education in this. So, what happened with me was I was riding high on life. I was really having a great time. I just bought a house. I was really excited. I was finishing up nursing school, and my plan was I was going to grab an EpiPen, my cell phone, and my camera, jump on my Trek road bike, and be part of a road biking tour company and do as much nursing that was required for those instruments that I was bringing along. And I was so excited about it. And Oh, just 9 years ago, next month on the 25th, I uh, I had an accident and a whiplash, which if you read about whiplash and concussion, you may find the information that will tell you that it takes longer to heal from a whiplash than a different kind of concussion. I read that. I don't believe that actually. I think that everyone's brain takes a different amount of time to heal depending on the individual, the circumstances, the area of the brain injury. So, what happened with me was I lived alone and I was sent home from the hospital with the determination that I had a fairly significant brain injury. I was given two pieces of cool white paper that stated that, if I started feeling any of these symptoms, I was to call my primary care doctor. And what ended up happening was over the course of 3 days, my injury to my head, my whiplash, morphed into a traumatic brain injury. And, I could stand in front of the refrigerator for 5 minutes and forget that I was there because I was going to get eggs that I'd already put on the stove and was cooking and they were burning and I couldn't smell them. That's how bad I was. And I locked myself up in my bedroom with my two dogs for a very long time. Sunlight bothered me. I lost my balance and my senses, smell, taste, my eyesight was off. That's why the balance went. And now I've learned that there are a lot of other reasons why things were the way they were. So my doctor told me that he wasn't too sure if I would get better because of my age and because he had other patients, one in particular who was the same age as me, and I guess he thought we were the same intellectual ability. The other guy had a business and was an engineer, and he was no longer any better and able to do his job. So my doctor very empathetically would look at me with very sad eyes. I'd known him for 20 years, and he would say, I just don't know. So he'd take my blood pressure and he'd say, just keep up what you're doing and we'll see what happens. And one day he said to me, I don't know if you ever really will get much better. So on that day, I got really committed to helping myself because I figured that that's all I had.
Yeah,
So, that was it. That was the beginning of the beginning for my march to
that's
get better.
powerful. And then tell us more about when the beginning started. Like, what was the journey like? What did you do, and how did you get better?
Well, there's I knew from before
Oh, I think
in my
something just happened to your camera. I'm not sure. It just suddenly became really dark on your side.
it did, but I didn't do anything.
That's very unusual. But why don't you try leaving and joining back in once?
Okay.
Yeah, just try that. Hold on, guys. I know this is very, very interesting. Just we are facing a little bit of technical difficulties, so just give Gail a second for her to rejoin, and we are going to carry on. Brilliant, you're back.
I'm back.
I'm so
I'm
happy
back.
to see you.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Yes, yes.
So
So you were telling me you took charge of your own health, and then what happened? Like, what did you do?
I did a lot of things. Um, the first thing I did was I told myself that I was going to do this, that, there was a way to get better and someone must know how. And I needed to find the answers. And I knew from former studies, education, that I knew that our minds were powerful. I knew that nutrition was powerful. And I had always been a real priss about what I ate and everything. So I decided that I didn't know enough and I needed to learn more. So I started looking for books to educate myself on foods that were better to help someone's brain. And there weren't a lot of books out at that time, but there were some. And I read those. And then I knew that I needed to communicate with people because I just sensed that living alone and knocking around the walls of my house was not very useful. And so I joined groups online and I got coaching. So the coaching allowed me to interact, to elevate my mind. And one very powerful tool I developed and used was I missed people, I missed activity, I missed, because I wasn't in school anymore. So I thought, well, I need to give myself an assignment every day. So my assignment became finding a beautiful picture that I could document every day with my camera and then matching a quote to it. Now, this was a very simple exercise and it needed to be because at that time, I couldn't read 3 sentences and repeat them to you. I couldn't even read a sentence and repeat it, the whole sentence. If you read me a string of 7 numbers, I might know the first 2. So it was an assignment that for me elicited a feeling of success, of achievement. It provided me with an ability to really like myself and my abilities, even though they were so compromised at the time. It gave me something to feel good about myself with. So in doing that, I signed up for the Integrative Institute of Nutrition, and it was an online curriculum where we interacted and had groups, and that was great. But what happened my first go round was I couldn't manage the curriculum, which at that time was pretty much a 10th grade level. And, I became very discouraged. But Joshua Rosenthal's staff and everyone there was very empathetic, and they agreed to let me go. And with the agreement that I would come back when I felt that I could handle it. And I did do that, and I did end up completing that. And during that time, I also connected with a woman that I had an experience with in a network marketing company years before. Her name was Dr. Shauna Menard, and she had connectivity with the Institute of Integrative Nutrition and had left her medical practice to help health coaches become um, be enable health coaches to be able to make a living being a health coach. So I found her in social media once again and fell into one of her funnels and was able to read a book and then got an invitation, and then I was able to see her again and talk to her again. And at that time I was pretty compromised and much different than when she had first met me. But the one thing she said to me was, here I had a medical doctor now saying to me, you know what, Gail, you're an expert in brain injuries right now. And I thought, wow, how can she tell me that? But I started to believe it the more I thought about it and interacted with people and asked questions and interacted with the group. And she made me understand that I had valuable insight to provide others in recovering from a brain injury. And I didn't have to wait to be recovered to recover. I could take people on the journey with me because nobody really knew the trail. So why not just do it? And that's what I did. So I did that. I did some other coaching with other coaches. I mean, I went and I did some Tony Robbins. I rented a house, far away so I could jump up and down and yell and scream and not disturb my neighbors because I was living in an apartment at the time. And I really wanted to do the full thing, and I had a lot of breakthroughs actually through that. That when they say when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And when I think back on things, all the coaches that I've had all the way through have really come at the right time. And very grateful for that. Very grateful for people who share their insights and their guidance and their hard, tough love. And I have been with coaching ever since. And I'm with a particularly hard business coach right now whose name is JT Fox. And, that guy is amazing. And I think if I were to express to or explain to some people, the path that I've taken under his tutelage, some people might be critical, but I know that I have arrived where I am now because he's been the way he has been. So I'm very grateful for that. And I'm looking forward to helping to make a difference and in helping other people. And I haven't really quite decided the exact way to do that yet. I think just doing what I'm doing and helping the people I'm helping is good enough right now.
No, this is brilliant. It's a powerful, powerful story. I actually wanted to share um, something very interesting. Give me a second. There we go. So you are also an author, uh, which is really inspiring considering the fact that you were at a different level when you initially had the brain injury. And this is our book here, uh, by written by you. We have the concussion conversation starter. We have heal your TBI, and there's two books in this series. The concussion recovery tracker, I'm guessing this is like a workbook to help recover, right? And we
Yeah.
also have, go ahead.
No, the tracker is a journal that someone can use to highlight their physical and emotional symptoms they're feeling on a weekly basis, so that when they see their healthcare provider, they just don't get their blood pressure taken and exchange pleasantries and leave without telling the doctor that their right eye's bothering them, or they've had a balance issue, or they're upset, or in
It's actually powerful. It's a very powerful tool. Yeah. And there's a lot of things from your side on the California Business Journal. We have a lot of articles here, which is really, really powerful. I wanted to ask, tell us more about the concussion conversation starter.
Well, I was and still am a K through 12 certified art teacher here, public school teacher in the state of Maine. And teaching art was it was so much fun and so rewarding. I had the opportunity to see so many students of different learning styles learn. And it was really an honor. It was a great time in my life to see students come into the art room who were right-brained or left-brained, and the left-brainers always had such a hard time with the art because things had to be exactly perfect, and I can't do this. And I had so much fun showing them that art was not about doing things perfectly, and to just really drop all that and have fun. And so I experienced great joy teaching so many. And I know that I am very good at helping people find their joy and what is what is interesting to them. So I was the teacher who didn't have to put a lot of facts into someone's head. I had a great time helping students find what interested them and then learn the things, the facts that fit the things that interested them. And what I thought about after I'd written the first two books, the first book, Heal Your TBI, which my target market was people who had had a brain injury who were looking for help like me. And what I realized was when you have a brain injury, you're not really capable of doing a lot right off the bat, and you really need help right off the bat. So that's when I said, oh my goodness, I have to change the title. I'll write a different book. And that's how Heal Their TBI came about. And then I thought, after those two books, that's enough of that business. I should just write a book that helps people access information that will be valuable to them in pursuing a journey back to better mind and body health. And I knew that it couldn't be big chapters, and I wanted it to be a way to invite people to have a conversation, because people with brain injuries lack connectivity with others because of the injury, oftentimes. So that's a whole other thing. So I just thought, if I could make or design a book that would invite, and at this time I was thinking, oh, we'll get it into the hands of schools. And not only will it be great for kids who've had a brain injury, a concussion in sports or something, but it will be really, really fun for the whole class to do. Because I knew that most of the texts being used in schools were texts where, you have to swallow large amounts of information that seems to be constantly being reevaluated and rewritten and rechanged. And, even, well, I won't go there, but I mean, I just think that it's time to help our children help our world and invite them to be better thinkers and creative and critical thinkers. So that's what I was thinking when I put the book together. And I knew that someone with a brain injury would have fun reading a simple quote, let's say by Oprah Winfrey or Mel Robbins or, whoever, and be able to discuss that and not have a right or wrong answer to it. And be relaxed about being confident in their abilities and welcoming of an educator to want to hear what they have to say. And also because I know how important it is to not create inflammation in the body at any time, but especially when you've had a brain injury. I knew that I needed to address that in this book. So I have sections in that where I invite everyone to learn about that and learn about it in a fun way. So that's how it came about. I knew I had to address all these different things: our minds, our bodies, our exercise. Some people who've had a head injury can try to start doing some physical exercise, but if they get debilitating results from doing that, they've done too much. And that's a hard thing to crack. I know myself, I couldn't wait to get back at it, but I tried too much too soon. And it wasn't a favorable outcome for me. And it can set you back quite a ways if you do that. I experienced that. So I have all these different topics in the book, and also artistic expression. So oftentimes, if you have someone draw a picture with a prompt, it will allow you both to have a conversation now that will go much deeper than if I just asked you a question. So the whole idea behind that is to invite true and meaningful communication that will not only help someone with a brain injury, but it can help anyone.
Powerful. This is very powerful. Um, Thank you so much for sharing with us today. Before we end our intriguing chat, uh, do you have any, what should I say, lasting thoughts or something to say to our audience? people who may be watching?
I'd like to say that it's a very misunderstood injury because the medical community has not been educated in this thoroughly. And I have been told by doctors that even most neurologists don't know. So I want everyone to keep in mind that we only know what we know, and God bless everyone. Doctors only know what they know, and they try their darndest. They are worked really hard, and I have huge respect for them. And if we don't tell the doctors what we need, how can they possibly help, or even how can they possibly understand? And I guess the other thing I'd like to say is that, you know, if someone tells you they don't know, you need to go find out, and never take a defining answer to be the way it's going to be. For instance, I know a young man who was told, his parents was told he'd never wake up. Well, he did. So they found a different answer. There are answers, and not to be discouraged. The brain can repair itself, and I'm really confident that everyone's going to come together on this soon and figure out a really good way.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. That is very, very motivating. Thank you so much. That's all we had time for today, unfortunately. But looking forward to interacting with you more in the future.
Thank you so much, Marshall. I really appreciate you and this time you give me.
Thank you. Thank you.